Fantasy football QBs, who to start and who to sit in Week 6. When it comes to fantasy football, making the right quarterback choices can make or break your week. But here's where it gets controversial. While everyone fawns over the superstar QBs like Josh Allen, Bijan Robinson, or Jamar Chase, the real challenge and opportunity lies in identifying the players who might quietly outperform or disappoint in Week 6. And this is the part most people miss. Knowing when to bench a seemingly promising player can be just as valuable as picking the top scorer. Instead of covering the obvious elite performers, this guide zooms in on quarterbacks who are on the cusp of either blowing up or falling short, based on PPR scoring. For your best chance at victory, I highly recommend pairing this advice with the weekly updated player rankings I maintain throughout the 2025 NFL season. Week 6 quarterback rankings to watch. Josh Allen takes on the Falcons Monday, a tough but high-profile matchup. Jalen Hurts battles the Giants Thursday, a game loaded with potential. Jaden Daniels faces the Bears Monday in a more under-the-radar contest. Patrick Mahomes hosts the Lions. Dak Prescott visits the Panthers. Justin Herbert plays at the Dolphins. Caleb Williams squares off against the Commanders Monday. Drake Maye faces the Saints. Jordan Love goes up against the Bengals. Bo Nix heads to London to play the Jets. For a full and detailed ranking, check out the complete Week 6 quarterback list. It's updated daily to reflect the latest stats and injury news. The start of the week, Justin Herbert at Dolphins. Despite a rocky stretch in the last 3 games, where Herbert has struggled to top 14.6 fantasy points, I'm still backing him this week. Miami's defense has been notably vulnerable, conceding over 23 fantasy points to 4 different quarterbacks through their first 5 games. In fact, they rank 3rd worst in fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks, making Herbert a promising start if you can wait out his recent slump. Quarterbacks to start that could outperform Drake Maye versus Saints. Maye didn't quite hit fantasy gold last week, finishing with 12.1 points against the Bills. However, the Saints defense has been more forgiving to QBs, allowing 18-plus points to 3 passers this season, including multiple who gained valuable rushing yards, a style that suits Maye well. Jordan Love versus Bengals. After a week off, Love has been on a hot streak with 20-plus points in 2 of his last 3 games. The Bengals have struggled to contain quarterbacks lately, giving up over 19 points to 3 different signal callers, including recent blow-ups by Bo Nix and Jared Goff. Bo Nix at Jets in London. Coming off a strong performance against a tough Eagles defense, Nix faces a Jets secondary that just conceded 4 touchdowns and 28.3 fantasy points to Dak Prescott. Historically, multiple quarterbacks have scored at least 17.7 points against the Jets this year. Matthew Stafford at Ravens. Stafford is red hot right now, racking up 6 touchdown passes and a whopping 53 fantasy points in his last 2 games. The Ravens defense has been surprisingly vulnerable, as 3 different quarterbacks already scored more than 27 fantasy points against them in 2025. Other solid start options include Bryce Young against the Cowboys, Mac Jones at the Buccaneers, and Caleb Williams heading to face the Commanders. Quarterback to sit, Justin Fields against the Broncos. Fields was my pick of the week last time and rewarded us with 25.9 points. But here's the kicker. Almost 19 of those points came in the 4th quarter during garbage time, with Fields producing only 7.3 points before that. Beware this mobile quarterback in Week 6, as he faces a Broncos defense that has stiffened, allowing just 13 points per game to opposing QBs. Quarterbacks you should sit this week. Jared Goff at Chiefs. Though he racked up 20.1 fantasy points last week versus the Bengals, this week's challenge against the Chiefs is starkly different. The Chiefs' defense has stifled almost everyone, only allowing 2 quarterbacks to surpass 11.5 points this season, and surrendering just 16.1 points to starters on the road since 2024. Tua Tagovailoa versus Chargers. Last week was a pleasant surprise for Tua, with a season-high 22.7 points. But don't get too excited. In 3 of his first 5 games this season, Tua has scored fewer than 16 points. And facing a Chargers defense that has allowed an average of only 13.7 points to QBs on the road in their last 10 games, means caution is warranted. He's more a superflex start than a must-start in single QB leagues. Aaron Rodgers versus Browns. If there's one lesson from 2025, it's never underestimate the Browns' defense. Rodgers is a clear sit in standard leagues this week. The Browns have shut down every quarterback but Lamar Jackson, holding them under 15 points. Odds makers have predicted a low-scoring game with a total under 37.5 points. Sam Darnold at Jaguars, fresh off a huge fantasy day with 27.6 points, Darnold looks appealing for superflex leagues. Yet Jaguars defense has held opposing QBs to just 12.4 passing points per game this year. So, in traditional leagues, it's best to be cautious. Other quarterbacks you might want to bench this week include Daniel Jones against the Cardinals, Geno Smith facing the Titans, and Cam Ward on the Raiders' turf. Final thoughts. What's your take? Does your gut tell you to trust the stars, or could the mid-tier QBs break out this week? Are you leaning towards sitting big names due to tough matchups, or do you believe in their ability to rise above? Fantasy football thrives on these debates, and I'd love to hear your perspective. Agree, disagree, or have a bold prediction? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's get the conversation going.